Hello students, welcome to your video on searching for articles. We're going to assume that you have already visited your school site or whatever site you're using for your project. Maybe it's a program, an after-school program, extracurricular activity, some kind of program that involves kids. Once you've been to your site, talked with your mentor, and you've identified some kind of a problem that they are trying to fix or a goal that they're trying to meet, something that your research can help support, then you can build your topic from there. And we're going to work on building our research questions and things like that the next time we meet. But in the meantime, you can begin your research by picking an article that fits your topic. So we're going to start this off on the library website. And you'll see that here it puts us right here at this search bar that allows you to pick everything, or you can go into articles. We are looking for articles. Now this search here searches almost all the databases, not all of them, but a lot of them. The problem with this that you may find is that it's going to search all different subjects, all different databases, and we are pretty focused in our subject area on education, so we don't really need any kind of articles from journals that are not in the field of education. While your search terms may produce some, we don't necessarily want that. So let's pretend that your topic is serving the needs of a child with autism. Let's pretend you're doing your field work in a class and there's an autistic student and you are going to try and help that teacher come up with some strategies. So if that was your topic, you could search autism here, but it's going to show you things from psychology journals, medical journals, parenting journals, and education journals, and it's going to be a broader search. So we're actually going to come over here to this button on the side, on the left that says research. We're going to click on that. Here we go. And it's going to, the first choice here is article databases. Now here it gives you journals and magazines A to Z. If you had a specific journal in mind that you wanted to search, you could do that. You could also come down here to Google Scholar. You can search for things in the library and outside the library, such as books. Typically though, when we're looking for the most current research, it's going to be in these article databases. So we're going to go there. And you're going to see this is going to come up with a big list, and it has A to Z here, all of their databases. Now, a database is a large compilation of journals. So there are 212 databases. Within them, bunches of journals. So this is still a lot for us to look through. So we're going to narrow it even more by clicking on the subjects button, and we're going to come down to education. And you see that number right next to it is 25. That means they have 25 education databases. So that's a lot. You can imagine why it's better for us to narrow it this way as opposed to that first search bar that we saw on the library site that goes through everything. We don't want that. It's a little too big. Now, if you were writing a paper for another class that was a little more broad and you wanted to see what else was out there, that would be fine. For our purpose, since we are in an upper division class, we're in an education based topic in this course, we definitely want to focus there. So now you have a lot of choices. You have 25 databases to pick from, and it starts from A and it goes all the way down. All these are good, okay? The differences are kind of slight. Some of them are more focused on certain areas, social sciences. Some might be more things like dissertations in them. Some things might include a variety of different types of articles that are included. So we can use any of them, but I would say the best bet is to start up here. The library does this nice thing where they take the top 6 education databases and put them all into this one search bar here. So if we click on this, it's going to search these top ones. And these are really the best ones for us, so we're going to use that today. And I suggest you just start with this on your website search. Not website search, but your web search through the databases. And I would go this route if I were you in finding things on your topic. So once we get in here, it's going to give us some choices. Okay. So let's pretend that my topic is autism, right? And so I see it automatically offers me some additional options of choices here. And so I can decide if any of these sound better than just autism, like autism in children, autism spectrum disorders in children. So I'm going to go with that one. That sounds good. And then this little field right here asks me about what I want to search in. Do I want to search in the whole text, the author's name? That's not what I want. Obviously, this is a topic, not an author's name. The only time you would do that is if you know a specific person you're trying to find their work. I could try title, but that kind of limits me. If they didn't choose to put that in the title, then it's not going to show up. Subject terms is pretty good. That's going to be, every author picks subject terms related to their article. So I'm going to start with that one. And then if I go here, I might want to narrow it a little bit more. With every box you fill out, your search is going to be narrowed. It's going to be more specific. If I put less like this, if I just leave it autism spectrum disorders in children, I'm going to get more results. The more I put, the more specific my topic is, and the less articles I have to pick from. But a lot of times that's a good thing, because sometimes you can do a search that results in thousands of articles. So we want to be a little more specific. So let's say we do elementary school. Let's try that. And I'll just put that all text for that one. Okay. And then maybe I want to know specifically, what am I trying to help this teacher with? Because there's a lot of things we could write about when it comes to autism. So let's say there's a student in this class that is on the autism spectrum, and the teacher just wants some strategies to keep them focused and working on the lesson and progressing. So let's say teaching strategies. Maybe teaching strategies or teaching methods, that would be good. And again, I'll put all text here, and we'll see how it goes. If it provides a good number for us to search through, or if it's too small or too large, we'll make adjustments. Now that we've got that, because we're searching multiple databases at once, it's going to ask us for a lot of search options here. I'm going to show you which ones you really need to pay attention to and which ones you can kind of ignore. So this first stuff, it doesn't really matter. You can decide if you want to do apply related words. That might work. That might help you. Also search within the full text. Sure, that might be a good idea. Down here, you're always going to click full text when it gives you that choice, and you're always going to click peer reviewed when it gives you that choice. The reasons are, if I don't click full text, I might be getting something that is not complete. I might only get the abstract or a piece of it, and I don't want to waste my time with that. I only want articles that I could potentially cite and use. And you don't want to cite anything that you haven't read, because if you haven't read the whole thing and you only got to read half of it and you cite it, there could be other things in that text that you didn't know about that are contrary to what you're trying to argue in your paper. Okay, you'll notice this as a side note, this popped up, and this will pop up regularly while you're on the library website. It'll ask you if you need to chat with a librarian. This is a really nice feature. I don't need help right now, but let's say I was doing this search and I couldn't find out what I needed. I could say chat now and talk with somebody. So that's a good feature. I'm going to ignore it for now and say no, but you could use that in the future. Okay. Most of these, you can leave them as all, okay? But if you take a look, you might decide that some of them are relevant for you to pick from. So let's say this one, journal or document. In this case, since they give me a choice, I'm going to go with journal article, because that's a little more relevant. These other documents might be something different that isn't what I wanted. Over here, education level, I can pick between some of these choices of grades, higher ed, junior high, adults. I'm just going to go with elementary. I think that's most appropriate for mine. Publication types, it gives me some choices here. I have a lot of choices. So if I'm not sure, I can leave it. But if I do see journal articles, I'll probably pick that, okay? Because that tends to be what we're focusing on here. It doesn't mean that is the only kind of source you can use. You can definitely use some of these others, but you see these can be a wide range of things. So dissertation is definitely good research you can use. They tend to be very long and detailed. So, you know, you might find that journal articles are just the easiest way to get your info. Intended audiences, I could pick from this if I want. I could leave it blank. I'm going to pick teachers since I'm specifically looking for teachers' strategies for instruction. I think that might be more appropriate. Language, so a lot of times it'll ask you that. I'm going to pick English. If you do speak another language fluently to the point where you could read research, you can pick that. I don't, so I'm going to go with English. Okay. Now, a lot of these other ones, if I don't know what they mean, I'm just going to leave them alone. Okay. But look through the ones, and it's going to feel repetitive because remember, we're searching multiple databases. So it's asking us over and over for each database, what do you want? So it's going to ask again, publication type. I'm going to go with, let's see, what does it have? Periodical, newspaper, book, primary, education report. I want article, and it could be a few of these. So I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm going to pick article here. And then over here again, I'm going to pick English. So I'm just going to look for these basic ones that I know I need. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Anytime I see full text, I'm going to go ahead and click that. Sometimes it'll say PDF full text as a choice, and HTML full text. It doesn't matter. Either one's fine. PDF is a little easier to download, which is easier for you to reuse later and come back to. But as long as you have the full text, that's what really matters. PDF is easier because the page numbers stay the same. You know, those kind of details are easier to maneuver, but it's okay for you to use one that's not PDF. Let's see, publication type. Doesn't give us a journal, so I'm going to leave that alone. Here we go, academic journal and article, full text, academic journal. We're just kind of looking for the same type of stuff over and over. English, because it is searching multiple databases, so we have to tell it the same thing for all of them. Okay, now once I've done all that, I'm going to hit search, and let's see what I get. If I get too many and I just can't even figure out where to start, then I would go back and narrow my search even more. I might put quotations around these things. I might decide I'm going to be more specific about the teaching strategies. And if I got too little, I would go and broaden my search terms. As opposed to maybe just saying autism spectrum, I might search a little more specific, okay, like writing or reading or behavior skills, things like that with autism. Now, I came up with 52. That's not too bad. That's a manageable number to search through. I think if I spend enough time, I could pretty easily find 5 good ones that are useful to my topic. Maybe I would want to keep searching in other databases, but for now, I have a lot of things to start with here. Okay, so the idea is that now that I've got my list, I'm going to come through and I'm going to read the title, and I might decide I need to read the abstract and decide if that is relevant to me or not. So this first one that comes up, effects of a group teaching interaction procedure on the social skills of students with autism spectrum disorders. Okay, so I wanted teaching strategies. That sounds good. I'm going to open this up. After I click on it, it's not going to give me the entire thing, but it is going to give me the abstract. So I could read this abstract and decide what kind of research this is, and if it seems like it's something relevant to what I'm trying to research, then I could decide then to go ahead and download it. Now, I suggest that you have a place you are keeping all your articles, and I think typically Google Drive is the best way to do that. If you're logged in, it'll allow you to do that right here. You can also save them on your computer and then upload them to a Google file on your drive later. By clicking the full text and downloading it this way. Okay, you can email it to yourself. There's a wide range of things you can do. You can even log in while you're doing these searches and save them. You can save links to them and send them to yourself. There's a lot of choices, but if I decide that this is good and I want this for my study, and I'm going to include it in my research paper, then I definitely want to save it and download it somewhere. Okay, so now that I've found one I like, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go ahead and use it for my assignment. Move that over there so you can see. I'm going to download it, and you can choose a variety of ways to save it. I like to save articles with the author's last name because later on when I'm trying to cite someone and I remember who it was, it'll be easier for me to find them. So I see their last names here. I see Peters, I see Tullis, and I see Gallagher. So I like to save with their last name and just keep it all in a Google Drive file, and then I can go back to them and I can easily find what I'm looking for. In our class, you have this is your first assignment you have to do. So let's pretend that I really liked that article. Now I'm going to find this assignment, my article evaluation notes, and I'm going to remind myself, what am I looking for here? Who or what was the subject of the study? What kind of research was conducted? Was it qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods? You should have already watched the video on qualitative and quantitative. Mixed methods is exactly what it sounds like. It means you used a little bit of both. So maybe you used a survey and you did some interviews, things like that. How was it gathered? How was it analyzed? What were the findings? And what is the significance of the findings? Why does this matter? You're going to find this in the conclusion, the implications, the discussion, those sections near the end. And you want to think about your own paper. What are you trying to do with your paper? How's it going to help you in there? So these are very short and simple notes, but you're going to have to complete this for the article you select. Now you ultimately are going to have to do 5 of these, but for this week you need to get the first one done. That's your first assignment you have to turn in this module. So once I complete all this, I can save it and I can turn it in. And remember, start with the abstract, see if it seems relevant, then go through and read your headings and see what they have to say. There's the method right there, it tells you how they did it. Social skills group, setting. Okay, so I can see all the topics, the procedures. This is all the topics they're covering here in this article, and I might jump ahead to the discussion and just read that to see if it makes sense to me, and it sounds like something I want to include in my paper. If it doesn't, that's okay. Then I'm going to just go back and I'm going to continue my search. Okay, move this over here. So let's pretend that I decide finally, you know what, I don't like that. It's not really going to help me. So I want to go backwards to my search again and see where I ended up. What else might be good? And I can start looking through what came up. 10 guidelines to facilitate social groups for students with complex special needs. That sounds interesting. E-word wall. Okay, this is a very specific strategy that somebody is writing a whole paper on. And you can see that they've put their subject terms down here, and they've definitely got a lot of things about disabilities and autism spectrum, so they've considered that. Using a smartboard and teaching social stories to students with autism. So this is, again, is a very specific strategy. So I have a lot to look through. Once I've picked, I want to make sure that it's relevant. I want to save it somewhere and then go complete my article evaluation notes. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your search, and please email me if you have any questions.